thank you all for waiting. We're having a little bit of overrun earlier. This is called Design on Time. The point of this is to sort of find out a little bit more about the process of design and what's going on in the designers' heads when they do it and how the process happens. We've got a pretty ace team here. We've got Christoph Belling, who designs a lot for Tag Heuer, as well as being a general designer. You may know the boat on the Serpentine, the solar-powered boat. That's from Christoph's pen. Yannick Deleskovitz, if I've got that right, from Jaeger-LeCoultre, has been designing watches for a long, long time. And Adam Hatton from Jaguar to give us a little bit of a different perspective, because I thought this would be, designing luxury products. There's got to be some shared ground. It's not just about shapes of hands and things like this. It's about lots of other things, as we'll discover in a second. Christoph, I want to start with you. How does it start? How does the process? You have to design a new watch. What happens?
God.
It's a difficult one.
That's a difficult one because I think probably all share the starting points can be very different. Like yesterday, we had a big team over from Tag Heuer and they came with a new material. So then you sit around the table and say, what can you do with this material? And you go very far. But of course, I think when you go through the show here particularly, I think what is quite unique about watchmaking is what we do is about the future and we are here in the present, but there's always a past. So whatever we do, there's always something in our head where we respect the past. But again, we try to connect to today and to the future to be relevant.
Cool. And at Jaeger, I imagine that, the business of starting a new watch design, must have a really defined moment. Someone must go, okay, this is what we're going to do. How does that happen? Who rings you up and what do they say?
From Jaeger, the process is always the same because we are linked with the history of the brand since a long time. I don't know how the others do, but it's the same as our confrère like Christopher or like the other. We have a philosophy, and my value is linked with the philosophy of Jaeger-LeCoultre, and my inspiration also. And I look around. Thanks to my situation, I can live in Paris and go to the Vallée Dieu, to the manufacturer, every week.
When, for example, the diving collection came out a couple of years ago, what was the genesis? What was when did you know there was a diving collection to design? How did it start? What was the first moment?
I want to explain. We are linked with the history, and we are linked with the product of the past. We want to make it. The continuation is always the comeback to the future, and Jaeger-LeCoultre is also linked in the classical watches, jewelry watches, but also sportive watches, and that's why we are some thing to do in the diving watches, but also in the driver watches since a long time. And I think the diving was starting in 1950 with the automatic calibers, and that's why the shape is round and with the automatic. And when you study the past, you can see the shape of the watches is always linked with the calibers.
Sure.
With the manual, is always the volume are in form, like the Reverso, also in the other brand like Cartier with the tank. But for the sportive watches, is very important to have something easy to wear, easy to rewind, and automatic mechanism is one of the best. Cool. And using function for the moment is linked with the ergonomy and easy to
Cool.
to use.
Adam, it is the same thing. I mean, you know, what I'm really interested at this point is the start. You know, what happens, you know, at the very first point of designing a new car?
Well, I think, yeah, there are obviously some similarities with Jaguar being, you know, this sort of premium luxury and sports manufacturer. The gentleman beside me here design kind of in the same way, I suppose. To design a new car takes about 4 years. And it can start one of two ways. One way could be to, we have the board of directors, or even up to, you know, Ratan Tata level, sort of asking us to design a particular type of car. Yeah. For example, a replacement for the new XJ or XF. That's one side of things. So we'll go about seeing where we think that car should be in the marketplace. And again, looking at the history of the brand, but also looking into the future, because all the great Jaguars from the past were very modern in their day, especially compared to the competition. So the other side of it is sometimes from a design studio side of things, we've got an advanced design studio and a main studio. The advanced design studio, we can come up with all sorts of different creations, different types of cars, and we can lead the way.
Is that something that sort of, that, you know, it's an ideas factory that's sort of storing ideas for future
totally
use?
And I mean, you know, most of the stuff no one ever sees, but for example, sometimes when it does work very well is we had our latest, well, one before this latest concept car, we had a concept car called the CX-75, and that was to celebrate 75 years of Jaguar. Yeah. And we were asked to design a car to celebrate that. And basically what we did was we designed the purest proportion Jaguar we could. It's a supercar. We worked with Braemont as well on the interior, and put that out to various motor shows and judged the reaction of people, and now we're putting it into production. So It can go from that side as well, you see.
Yannick, I know at Jaeger there's similar sort of things. The Amvox project, I seem to remember, sort of came out of ideas that were already floating around in, you know, within the manufacturer. Is that, first, am I correct in that? And secondly, is that, you know, do you do sort of speculative design? Do you sit there and think, well, what might a future watch be?
We are looking for the challenging or sometimes leading in invention, and for the Amvox, we want to find a way for a perfect driver car. And when we make the first one, we just found the same value, the same DNA, like we make when we make the board of the Aston Martin in the parts of the old car. And when we have this question from the car brand, we say, okay, but we can do a chronograph, for example, with really easy to use, that we make the chronograph without push button, easy to drive and to push with your arm, very fast. And the second step is to adapt a transponder to open the window and open the door when you look for your car in the parking, and that's great to link the technology of the car with the high technology and the high technique of the watch.
Do you? I mean, do you do quite a lot of this speculative work? You know, this sort of you know, build on designs that, you know, no one knows if they have a future now, but might have a future.
We have many projects for the future, like the Extreme Lab. We want to make the watches able to do everything. For example, when you come in your house, you can open your without key. You can drive your car. You have many functions. It's a dream like Steve Jobs, and to use many adaptation of the watch. Sometimes the technique mechanism is not possible, but we can do some really exceptional adaptation in our watches, like the duometer, like the new minute repeater we do, and if we can do traditional development like the tourbillon or minute repeater linked to the sportive evolution is fantastic.
Excellent. And Christophe, you're obviously a little step away from, because you're not directly involved in Tag Heuer. Do you find yourself sort of playing with ideas that you don't know whether they'll have a future with Tag, but are fun anyway, or?
Yes, very much so. I think we sort of cherish, again, myself and the team who works with me. There is no watch designer in the team, and that sounds wrong, but we train and we learn, but this slight naivety that we sort of sometimes ask questions where we say, we don't know if it's possible, but that would be amazing if it would be possible. So we quite often present ideas without knowing how it could be done or if it could be done, and we just put them out. And again, a lot of the Tag Heuer, I think, one of the big turnaround were the concept watches, like the V4. The V4 at the beginning was just a dream. It was just the idea to create an engine without cogwheels, just with bells. Sure. The technology wasn't there. The technology took 6 years to be realized.
Indeed. That's an amazing watch. One of the questions I had for all of you really is, we've all mentioned it before, but you all work with brands with incredibly strong history. How does that specifically, that history, feed into what you do? I mean, how do you? I suppose what I want to know is, how does the history determine what actually gets designed and how it gets designed?
I think what is interesting, if you look at all three of us, we work for brands which we now sort of have in the consumer's mind. There's a certain sentiment. There's what we call a kind of classic elegance to it, but actually the initial pieces were groundbreaking avant-garde. The E-Type, the Reverso, the Monaco.
They had no history.
At their time, when they came out, people said, "What is that? That is just strange. What are you doing?" It's just they were all like that. And I think sometimes what happens as brands, they have these success stories because they've brought something out which is truly groundbreaking, and then it becomes sentimental. And some brands, you see, they just sort of indulge in the sentimental issue and they don't move on. I think what is quite nice for me personally, that at Tag Heuer, Jack Heuer is still around. So I still have meeting with Jack Heuer. He's now, next year, will be 80 years old. And Jack Heuer, he is sort of in his heart still somebody who still thinks daring. He's an engineer. So if I go too sentimental, he's the first one to slap me. He says, why do you do stuff which could have been done exactly the same 25 years ago? And I think that's very important, to be respectful but not so sentimental that you suffocate and don't push anymore.
Indeed, that's really interesting. And Yannick, at Jaeger, it's a longer, stronger history, I dare say, particularly in design terms with the Reverso. Do you find history as a straitjacket or a guide, or does it give you freedom?
I think we can find inspiration everywhere, and as you say, when we are fall in the window to see the new Jaguar, and I'm really impressed because before I worked for the car industry in Ford. I start my career, I know what is the problem to develop a car, but it's the same to develop a watch, because sometimes you have the same problem. And when you start, according with you, when you start, you don't think to all this problem, because if you think first of all what will be the problem,
sure.
you do
you
nothing,
start.
and you say, oh, I will dream to make it perfect and to do something really exciting for my client. I discussed with some client in Hong Kong or in New York, and he dreamed to have a nice watches with this nice way of life, adapt to his, but also with the women. The women, they love the easy watch, easy car, easy to live, and because we have a lot of hard problem in the modern life, and we want to find this kind of object to easy to live, like the Monaco, like the Reverso, like the new car, easy to drive with the automatic.
Indeed, you talked about the 75 being a concept car to sort of express the most pure Jaguar lines that you can sort of come up with, but is it do you find that sort of because you immersed in Jaguar design that you design in a Jaguar way, or is this something you have to keep applying a sort of a magic lacquer?
Yeah, that's a good question, James. I think like Yannick and Christophe were saying, basically, I think you always respect your history. And Sir William Lyons, the founder of Jaguar, designed things in a certain way. First of all, we want to create beautiful objects, and I think that's the same whatever you design, that people will enjoy, your customers will enjoy to own. Yeah. We basically really analysed why those Jaguars were great back then in the 50s and 60s, and we found, they had very similar design traits, which were perfect proportions, clean, pure surfaces, very strong sort of stance on the road, beautiful kind of flowing lines, and they had this modernity as well compared to the competition. That's what we're trying to recreate now, basically. So yeah, we're kind of just respecting this heritage, but then kind of really trying to move forward, and it's very interesting to listen to what Christophe and Yannick are saying, because it seems like a very similar world. Yeah. I don't know how long it takes to design a watch from concept to production. That'd be very interesting for me to know.
Sometimes some clients say, "What is the same price as a car?" But it's the same time.
It takes about 4 years.
It takes 4 years, and we have a project for 2015 or 16 now, and we know it will be for the future. The imagination of the designer, of the team design, is to think what will be the trend in 3 years or in 4 years, and what will happen before. And
that's the difficult thing.
Will be disturbed by this.
You're answering my next questions.
to develop it and to work with
that's really cool.
This way.
Actually, I want to expand on that in a second. I'll get Christophe to come in as well. But just quick question. If you're designing 4 or 5 years into the future, how many designs are going to make it? One assumes you've got, more than one idea on the go, at any one time. Do you really just work at one design and make it right, or do you have, 3 or 4 and choose the best one?
We do hundreds of sketches, literally hundreds, and then we have, I'm sure you guys are the same, we have design reviews with our senior management, and first of all, Ian Callum, my design director, will select some themes, and then we will probably go down, to make one car, we'll probably go down to about 7 designs for an exterior. We'll build on Alias in 3 dimensions on the computer, and then we'll mill some full-size clay models, and then we'll have a kind of friendly internal competition until eventually every designer obviously wants their design to win. So that's how it works in our world.
Christoph, is it as vicious and competitive with you?
God, most of my team is here, so no, it's not. It's similar. They are parallel, but I think there is maybe one thing with watches is a bit, how can I say? I think with cars there's quite a defined schedule when you have to launch your products. At least for my world, I can say that actually the product gets launched when the product is ready. To be honest, the time pressure is not that intense. If the product is not perfect, it will not be launched. So then it will take another 2 years or another 3 years. It is just, it has to pass perfection because again, as we know with watches, it's not that, it's more important that it's right, rather than it's a year earlier, because technology is less fast moving than in the automotive world. It's a much slower moving industry, which again has big advantages in terms of the pressure. So I think it's more we chew through an idea and longer, and then if it doesn't work, we work it again. There are parallel lines, but
Cool, that's really interesting. And you're designing or starting to design for quite a step into the future. What do you bring in from now to outside what you do? What's defining your vision of future taste? Christoph, stick you on the spot.
I think we have one advantage that in the moment you open the office doors, every single project which you see on the screen is a project which is going to be launched the earliest in 2013. So you're already ahead. So basically, we already know what's going to be launched next year, which is a novelty. And by the time, we already bought by the product more or less, which is going to be launched next year. So in a way, it's a little bit easier because we have a natural reaction, the same reaction the consumer more or less will have because he will have lived with the products for 2, 3, 4 years.
So it's a natural, organic sort of progression.
More or less, because we our life in a way is 3 years ahead because we're now working on the collection for 2013-14, and
sure.
So
is that the same for you?
Is that the same? But I want to say the designer is not the only decider in the company, and we have also some element of strategy.
Yeah.
And it's very important because that's linked with the 5 years plan and the development, the event we want to have also. And if we have an anniversary or if we have a development specific for a market. And sometime we have, thanks to the engineers, the designer, we have many project work in progress, and we can have the opportunity to push one to say, okay, it's for next year, and this the two
other one can wait.
Is for the years after, as you say. But sometime you must push because the trend is here, is arrived.
You've got to catch the moment.
If you have not, you must catch now to develop. For example, we observe many markets want very classical watches, and if you have some of this in your collection, you can develop other one and go in this way. And it's also necessary to be a little bit opportunistic to
that's understandable.
The right way on your development, and the great art is also to make money with your client, to push and to develop your project and for the life of the people who work with you.
I know, that's interesting. And I know you all have lives outside what you do. What are you looking at the moment? What are you seeing at the moment that that you think will feed into what your work is in the future? What's out there that's caught your attention?
All sorts of things, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, Just to go on from the last question, we work up to about 2025 now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm working on some stuff that is for the next few years, which is like the next generation of Jaguars, but also we have to look the next step on, which is one of the reasons we do these concept cars, to judge sort of consumer trends and see what's happening and see reaction to things. The strategy part of it's a big thing for us as well, and we use different companies to research what the world is going to look like in 2030.
Sure.
For example, I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but we have to obviously design around legislation, CO2 emissions, you know, all this sort of stuff comes into it. Are all cars going to be electric or fly or whatever, you know, in the future, you know? So we have to kind of, we have to try and look quite far ahead, to be honest, because, you know, different markets, of course, as well, which I'm sure you guys work very closely with your marketing departments to see what's happening in various parts of the world where you might want to up your market share or launch a new product specifically for there. So, and in terms of outside influences, they can be from all sorts of places. I mean, I've really enjoyed walking around here for an hour before, you know, because the some of the timepieces are extremely inspirational to a car designer. But anything from the world of design or nature, or you can get inspiration from anywhere, I think, really.
Is there anything sort of particular you've seen here that's really particularly caught your attention? It doesn't have to be TAG or Jaeger. Right.
Well,
and it doesn't have
of course,
to be.
The designs of Yannick and Christoph, obviously. We also, for our, obviously they're very elegant designs and also have a kind of sporty nature to them as well, to some of the ranges, which is obviously what kind of Jaguar is all about, this luxury and sports elegance combined. And I think your two brands have also a very kind of almost unique selling points, really. But we also like things like the Bell & Ross and U-Boat and things like this, because if we're designing a very state-of-the-art sports car, we might want something extremely modern and technical. So, but we can get influences from whatever. I suppose it depends which car or which type of car you're doing. If you're doing a luxury XJ Jaguar top of the range, you might have a different influence of timepiece to an out-and-out raw sports car.
Cool. I've got a few more questions to ask them, but now's probably a good time to say if you're going to have questions, start thinking about them, because I'm going to throw the mic in your direction in a moment. I just wanted to expand on that. Is there, are there any sort of hot sources you rely on? I mean, do you does, I don't know, clothes fashion ever feed into what you do, or does contemporary art? I mean, do you go looking in specific places for ideas of, the sort of detail of future taste? Christoph?
I mean, part of the answer is, obviously, on my side, there have been very strong calls to relocate to Switzerland, and which would make life maybe a bit easier. But obviously, for me, just living in London, the elements you mentioned, fashion, style, what people are wearing from all over the world, it comes quite easily to you in London. You just walk from here up Sloane Square, go to Knightsbridge, and then have dinner in the East. You have a very, very big spectrum of life, of different styles and youth and trends and whatever, on that level. On the other hand, again, I'm very fascinated by, watchmaking is a technological, is where science meets art. So I'm very much into that world as well. But again.
Okay. I think the easiest is anyone has got any questions. Brilliant. What I'll do, if you ask them, and I'll repeat them to the things we can't hear you.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? probably more normal than you think, really. I suppose 2025 is only 2 car generations away, really. Any manufacturer, the cars are kind of out for about 8 years as a cycle, and you'll have a mid-cycle kind of freshening or facelift, as they're called, where you might get new bumpers or new lights or whatever. In terms of what's happening 2025, the thing that we're really interested in with the world changing is the amount of these kind of mega cities that are going to be, especially over Asia and in China, and just the amount of cities that are going to have more than 10 million people is going to be just an outstanding number. So we have to try and design around that as well. There's the whole connectivity inside the car. I think what you'll find is they're going to look a bit more futuristic. Obviously, they're going to need to cut through the air more cleanly. We've got a lot of pressure, obviously, to lower CO2 levels as low as possible. Electric cars are gaining ground now. So possibly by then you could probably be driving one around. But the thing is, it's about this whole life cycle of the car. So it's where does that energy come from to power your batteries, if you like, or when you plug it in, the source that it comes from has to be green anyway. So that's a big part of it. Design-wise, obviously, the fashion influence is a big thing. So you'll see a lot more of that within your cars. And what else would I say? The connectivity. So when you're in your car, you will pretty soon be able just to very easily access, the internet as you're going along and speak to your car a lot more easily within the next sort of generation of cars, I'd say.
Cool. So visions of faulty
Is that
tires
okay?
There are other questions. I think you get trends in the watch industry. How much do you look at other companies, or how much do you let what other companies are doing influence your work as a designer?
It's very important to be linked with the evolution of the society, because we saw since the past. We use a lot of GMT function, 2 time zone, chronograph. Also, we are very surprised now with the Amvox, because it is a creation from the 50 or the 60. And now the people love to have the alarm, but you have the alarm on your cell phone, you have the alarm everywhere, but the people want it. Because I think they want to know immediately and to have the function wearing on the body. Yeah. And the watch touch your mind, but they touch also your body. And when you look at your watch, you say, okay, it's today, I don't know, 5 o'clock here, but it's also 10 o'clock in the morning everywhere. And that is the influence of the globalization in the world. And is coming into the development of the object. Sure. And for the car, I think now we never say, oh, it's when we go from London to Birmingham or to Edinburgh, we don't count in kilometers or in miles. We say it's 2 hours or 3 hours. And we never say, we say, okay, to go to Paris, oh, it's 1 hour fly. Yeah. And that is, the measure is totally different. And it's not really fashion, it's a normal social evolution of the... And that's why we need to work together, but also with the people from China, the people from United States, from everywhere. In my team, Now we have a Chinese girl, we have
Sure.
Italian boys, we have people from United States, and it's possible to work together, and they give the immediate answer when we have some question about the trend, the preoccupation of the people.
To sort of restate your answer in terms of the question, would it be fair to say that you and your competitor companies end up with similar watches because you face similar demands from the market? Fair enough.
I think it's a similar answer, but with the property DNA, the property.
Exactly.
If you buy a Monaco, I love this watch, and I don't want to have the same expression than the diving watch of Jaeger-LeCoultre. I want to have the specific watches of Tag Heuer. If I buy a Mercedes or a Jaguar, I want to have this. I don't want to have an Audi or to have because if I love the Jaguar, it's a dream of the old Jaguar with linked with the new car.
Would it be fair to say that, for all of you, that you can't fail to be aware of your competition, but you have to sort of step back from it?
We totally benchmark the competition,
right, okay.
like anyone would. So even today with this, we had a meeting today, and we were looking at the design of a new car that we're working on. We've just started work on. And in that market sector, you've got to be aware of what's around, what the competition is, so you can, do a better job, hopefully. So enough. I don't know if it's the same for...
Again, that's the first part. I totally agree. A consumer today goes to Harrods. He probably has 800 watches, and he compares. He has a budget, and he maybe, he likes the Monaco, but then you think, for the same money, I can have that, or I can have that. So it's a beauty of choice. That's one thing, but I think there's also, you look to the competition not just for the strategic commercial positioning, but I mean, there is inspiration. I think that is actually the beauty in art. That is Cubism, Impressionist, there were individuals, Braque, Picasso, they were individuals, but they influenced each other and they pushed actually each other higher and further. And was it the time, was it Paris, was it whatever, but somehow very different individuals came up with similar expressions. And I think that is one of the beauties of culture, that it does absorb the time we live in.
Perfect. Is there one more question? I'm going to guess Adam's answer to that is just no. But Christoph.
One of the differences between Adam and us, I think I don't even want to put numbers on the table, but I just assume to develop a new car compared to develop a new watch, you can probably add 3 zeros to it. So obviously for watch companies, the risk is a lot lower to do a new model. That's why I think we engage a lot less with market research. And probably you don't find many designers who have many good things to say about market research, and many designers can give you a long list of examples of things which totally failed in market research but became the biggest success stories in the world. Obviously the marketing and strategic people in companies have very different views, but I personally am quite lucky because, again, the risks are manageable within watches in terms of investment, and so we rarely get confronted with research.
I assume, Yannick, you have the same answer.
True, what you say, because the risk is always, and because if you don't take in account what is the good positioning of your watch, also is the same in your car, and because there are different proposals from the market, and that's why I say before, you are not alone to decide to launch this product and which price you will put it, and is it possible to make it for this price. And but I think when the client decides to come in the shop of Jaguar, of Tiger Year or Jaeger LeCoultre, he knows exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
And the seller can upgrade his choice, but he cannot propose something different, or it's difficult to change the first, because the clients are really now passionate, intelligent. He knows exactly what you want. He compare before to come to make the démarche to come to see his product.
Sure. So Adam, is the answer no?
Well, the thing is, what the thing with market research, and it's a good question, the thing with market research is you always get a lot of people knowing what they want today or in the next couple of months, but we have to kind of try and predict what they want in a few years' time. And I think it's fine having the market research, and we do a lot of it all over the world. We do it virtually in terms of having animations of cars on big screens in hotel suites. And we'll ask Jaguar customers and also competitor customers. Everyone does the same thing basically in the car industry. And then we'll also have actual physical models that we've produced of a future car and ask people what they think about it. And that's fine. And it's very good for sort of seeing how it's seen differently in the United States or in Germany or in France or in China, for example. You can kind of test what the look of your car. But that's why we love doing the concept cars, because you get a more instant reaction and it's global because it's out there and you get millions of hits on websites, and then you get feedback from that as well. So, we take it as information that we use to help design what we do, but we don't just go on everything that's said in market research, because that's a bit dangerous, really, because of predicting into the future a little bit.
All right, thank you very much for your time. I found it interesting. I hope you guys did too. Thank you.